Hey you, how are you doing? This is Jennifer Way, intuitive consultant, and you are listening to the Self-Consciousness Podcast. Today's podcast is going to be about a little bit kind of sort of like the law of attraction, manifestation, mumbo jumbo that I'm sure you've heard so much about. I want to talk a little bit about my perspective on manifestation, and then later on I'm going to have a little discussion with Dupree about kind of how we get focused for planning what we want for our lives. So it's a little bit of an interesting conversation, and it's also a little bit of a last minute thrown together conversation, as these will be from time to time. I think this week was super ridiculously stressful and heavy, so I'm going to pull some information out that hopefully helps you. So thanks for tuning in, as always. I hope you continue listening to us as the weeks go by, and I'll see you inside. So, let's talk about manifestation. I'm sure you have heard about the law of attraction. I'm sure you have heard about this necessity of building a vision board. So I just want to share with you a little bit about my perspective on the subject. When we came to be on this planet, when we took our first breath, we came from a womb. This is obviously an organ in the female body that contained a space for growth and for nurturing. This space allowed us to form, to grow, and to bring our physicality into being. And this space, which we can also think of as the sacral chakra, is a place of creativity and our connection to the unseen or the spirit realms. Now, as modern humans, many aspects of our young lives were controlled by external forces. Now, whether that was our home structures, the adults around us and their behaviors, religious beliefs, or societal influences, very few of us were given the space for our souls to grow in an uninhibited way, to simply be, to experience, to be gently guided instead of being molded heavy-handedly. But for as much as we've been molded, we can hold on to something else deep within, and this is our free will. But our free will can be tainted by the assumptions that we have internalized as the way things are. This is really the biggest obstacle to creating our reality. So when I speak of free will, I'm speaking to something like this. Imagine you're in a workplace and your boss is berating you for an error that you made. Now, it might not feel like you have a choice to quit, especially now, because you need this job and you need the money. But in reality, your free will can allow the following to be true for you, okay? Making a choice to release any reception or influence of this energy, to not receive or agree with the energy of this abuse, to choose to acknowledge and learn from your own mistakes without being verbally abused by a superior or allowing it to affect your sense of self. Now, we can claim our free will by establishing such a strong knowing of ourselves, such a strong respect and love for ourselves, that regardless of how someone speaks to us, we simply do not allow it to infiltrate our being. Free will is important to accept specifically in terms of manifestation because you have the power to choose what you prefer or don't prefer for your life here on this planet. And if you don't trust that, then your world is going to be determined by outside forces. Now, this isn't about control. We don't have control over much. And if outside forces are exerting control over you, it's really important that you understand that they can't control your mind or your soul without your permission. So now kind of getting into that law of attraction zone, when we think of manifestation, it's a very masculine trait. And masculine traits I went over in last week's podcast, energy. Deciding that you want something in your life and going out and creating it or making it happen is a very kind of very directed masculine trait. And, because again, we hold both masculine and feminine, we have to come to the realization that we might be missing a key part to manifestation. And in my perspective, that's the feminine, the holding of space for creation. Holding your space when being pushed into the force of the outside world. Holding your space, allowing possibility to flow freely. It's necessary first to create your new reality. In order to hold that space, we really have to hold a deep, unconditional love for ourselves. When we're not holding love, we seek outside validation. And we abdicate the responsibility of creating a life we prefer. We turn it around and we inverse it. We make it the responsibility of the outside world to give us what we want, especially when we're like holding a vibration. We say things like, I don't deserve this, or I do deserve this. It's beyond that. Self-love allows us to create space for ourselves to discover what we truly want or desire. And as we become more in tune with ourselves and our true wants, what truly brings us joy, apart from outside validation or judgment, we spend more of our time focusing our energy on what we love, and we bring that into being. So setting intentions or praying, it's all about asking for what you want. When you ask for what you want with a true conscious connection to the depths of your being, you will manifest this reality. Like attracts like. So whatever you feel you hold, you've got to be very conscious about where it comes from. It's got to be positive, like more of a receptive statement, not a resistant one. And Dupree and I talk about this a little bit in the next segment. For example, asking the universe to stop bringing you Geminis, stop bringing Geminis into your life. That is going to, in fact, bring more Geminis into your life. And do you know why? Because all the universe hears, let's say your higher self for all intents and purposes, all they hear is Gemini. There is a focus on Gemini. And guess what? It doesn't matter that you said no Geminis, because you're focusing on Geminis as opposed to, say, Virgos. So your focus and intention is held, even if you think you're asking for the opposite. Jessa Reed does a great bit about this. Not a bit, but she describes it like a server. You can't go to a server and say, I don't want any shrimp cocktail anymore. I don't want it anymore. You have to ask for what you want. You can't talk about what you don't want. So, it's also worth it to consider that sometimes your ego wants more of these like Gemini experiences, probably for a subconscious reason that serves you or keeps you feeling safe. This is why self-awareness and love can't be separated from manifesting reality. We want to know ourselves so consciously and with so much love that we can be honest with ourselves about what we really want and not worry about like whether we deserve it. As long as you're aligned with what you really want and put your energy behind it. This is done in speech. This can be even done in writing. And yes, of course, it can be done in vision boards. But through communication and thought, you will bring that into your reality. Ultimately, we have to balance this masculine trait of manifesting, right? This 3D, like building, creating physical things, learning skills, moving through fear or discomfort in order to grow. We got to balance that with the feminine trait of holding space, holding that womb, using your heart along with your mind. Our physical existence is made of energy. We're constantly co-creating a reality out of all the ooze that is the universe. We can manipulate this energy with physicality, but also, and more importantly, with intention and sustained focus. Being on Earth allows us to sharpen our soul journey through this kind of manifestation and, manifesting in a playful way. Let's play with that. I want you to think of it whenever you have a challenge or there's something that you have to or want to accomplish. Let me play with this a little. It really takes the pressure off of it. I feel like our current language has so much pressure around manifestation, law of attraction, and like bringing what you want into your life. So, it's you really got to take a critical look at your energy and where it's going, what it's focusing on. Is it focusing on something that's more resistant? Is it affected by fear or feelings of lack? Try to open yourself to new ways of being, not of thinking, not of doing, but being. Put some of your energy out there by making an intention without expectation. Again, what do you want to play with? You're not just a light, you're a magnet. And everything in our world is about attraction or aversion. Everyone always has the power to change something in their lives through getting like just most of your being to really want it. You don't have to be like 100% sure of anything. Just get the majority of your energy in your body to like stop fucking beating yourself up. Start sprinkling bits of connection with your higher self in there. Start sprinkling love on the inside of yourself. And the more you create that connection, the more you work through your own wounding and healing and get to a place of real authenticity and honesty with yourself, the more you are going to be able to say, I want this in my life. And the quicker you will see it. And, manifesting is about bringing something into form, into reality. And you're going to do this using both your physical and your energetic focus, the space and the material. So co-create with the universe and have fun with it. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, is your friend
Awkward
joining us?
intro. No, he's not. Oh, I forgot to say. Yeah, no, he's not. He had
Okay.
a emergency. But
Okay.
anyway, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to this week's episode. And
Hey,
this week's episode, I guess, not sure. What do we call it?
I don't know. Are we talking about random stuff
We
or
might be.
hmm,
We might be.
it doesn't need a name.
It doesn't, right?
That's the name of the podcast.
Fuck like marketing and shit. Fuck that, man.
Exactly.
I don't need to
Yeah.
brand this shit. Just you don't need to know what you're about to be listening to. You don't need to know it and
Right?
anticipate it to be funny or informative or embarrassing, which it probably will be all of those things for me.
Exactly. But you had sent me some questions
I
though.
did. I did.
So what were those? Let's see
Those questions were so I think I'm seeing a lot of stuff about the law of attraction, how
here.
to manifest stuff, how to attract stuff into your life. And I think a lot of people feel like that's something they should be getting better at. And
Hmm.
I don't like anything that makes people feel that way. So of course I'm going to knock it. But I do absolutely believe that the law of attraction is real. Not to say that I don't believe it's real. I
Yeah.
just feel like it's misunderstood because we exist in a dog eat dog, mind over matter, hierarchical, competitive system and structure. So,
Hmm.
so my whole thing is that when you are thinking about what you want to manifest, it's really important that you get yourself into a vibrational state where you are honest with yourself about what you really want and why.
Hmm.
So, and it occurred to me that like I've kind of just been coasting a little bit, but in actuality, I haven't really envisioned or fantasized about what I want in my life over the next couple of years. Now, I'm not a vision board person. Are
Yeah.
you?
No. I mean, I should be because that's you got to be super creative, or the good ones are. But no, I don't even write like I don't journal. So I should. I think I should do a vision board though. I mean, I see how it's helpful.
Do
Having
you
to
though? Do you
I
see it?
think I do because if you're forced to look at these things that you want, you're gonna be forced to remember what road you're on. So like,
Yeah.
if I have, a big house on my vision board, a constant reminder of that will probably, make me work on my credit, start saving money because I eventually want that house,
Yeah.
maybe.
So
Uh,
maybe. Do I want that house?
right?
That's what I mean, to get clear
Hmm.
on what you actually want, and without pausing to feel like, could is that possible? Could I? So like, if all of it was possible, my
Hmm.
question to you was, what's your dream life look like, and what does it feel like?
So what does it look like? So I definitely don't have, I won't have a normal, not a normal, but the regular 9 to 5 job, something where I'm working less hours, enjoying it,
Yeah.
feeling satisfied by it,
But
and then
what's the positive?
positive.
So instead of saying like, I'm not going to have a 9 to 5 job, how would you invert
Oh,
that to
okay.
be a positive statement?
I'm gonna have a job where I make the hours.
Ooh.
There
Yeah.
we go. Right.
Yeah.
I got you. I've I've heard that before. How you should, do it as a positive. I think, whatever that's called.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, definitely being able to afford a home with a 2 or 3 car garage.
Ooh.
For my partner and I.
Yeah.
Um. And money not really being a concern. Like, yeah, there's a need to earn it because like I think maybe if I had won the lottery and I was super rich, like I read somewhere people who win the lottery lose their sense of self. They don't know who they are anymore and they don't have anything to
Oh,
really do. So, it affects their mental.
yeah.
So
I've
like,
heard that.
I would want to be able to afford whatever, support my family, and not have to worry about money, but still earning it, having to
Yeah.
earn it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think I'm asking for a lot. Definitely possible.
Yeah.
So
It's almost like you're answering someone who's like,
I
I
know,
don't know about
right?
that. Well, it's not a
Exactly.
lot. I'm not
And
asking for a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
It's almost like it's hard, like sitting
Mhm.
down and being honest with yourself about like what you actually want in your
Yeah.
life. Because like I know for myself, I always have questions like, but is that like, would I be able to get that? Like, is
Yeah.
it possible? Can I add that to my cart? Is that really? Yeah.
Yeah. And then you gotta turn that around and make it positive. And yes, I can really get that. I
Yeah.
will add it to my cart,
I know.
and I will put my credit card information in and hit submit.
Yeah. Or
No,
or you could go
car.
super weird and be
Mhm.
like, it's been in my cart this whole time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Do
Do something with it.
something with it.
What
The
would be
energy of it.
well,
Well, what is it? What would it feel like?
what
What
would
would
it
it?
feel like?
What
Okay.
would that feel like?
I mean, there would be a sense of calm. You
Mm,
know, um, I don't know if there would be any boredom since I said I would still be doing something to, have income coming in. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, it would just be a sense of calm. Like I can chill for a minute.
Yeah.
Bills are paid, and if I want to splurge, it's not gonna, affect the bank account that much.
Yeah.
Feels great.
it
So,
just it does feel great. I concur.
oh yeah, and I mean, who would be in it? Is the last question you
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
I mean, everyone that's in my life now, like
Yeah.
you, Pete, my mom,
Yeah.
everyone, all the self-made family,
Yeah.
definitely would need all of you guys in it.
Yeah.
So,
I love that.
yeah. What about you?
Yeah. Um I know we talked about it a little bit. I know that at least in the next couple of years, same, like I want to be able to make enough money where I don't have to worry,
Hmm.
and I don't have to worry about if I lose a car key, spending $300 to replace it,
Yeah.
which thankfully I won't have to do for anyone who's read my newsletter. Found my keys. Anyway,
Yay.
like I want to be able to. live comfortably. I really want like a house or a space that is, and this sounds weird, but built out of like good materials, because I
Yeah.
feel like my whole life I've been plagued by houses that are like crumbling and falling apart, or apartments I should say, that are like crumbling and falling apart. Like I want to be closer to nature somehow, but I
Mm-hmm.
also want a sense of community, so whatever that looks like. And I think that's another thing that when I kind of try to practice this, cuz I don't do vision boards. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's because I it, it annoys me to hear about them all the time, and
Yeah.
just like that bitterness. So I'm like,
Got you.
it's that bitter association with the idea of a vision board. But I feel like when
Yeah.
you're 12 or 13, I think those are like great to do. But I
Yeah.
feel like when you have like Bop. I mean, I don't know if you remember Bop. Bop was like a teeny magazine, like a
No.
teenager magazine
Okay.
in like the late 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Teen Beat,
Okay.
pictures
Teen
of
Beat.
Joey McIntyre or who the fuck knows, or Michael Jackson. For me, it was Michael Jackson, Michael J. Fox. Oh my God. Gross. Anyway, so like that, it was more about that for me, I guess, when I was younger. But nowadays, it's like it really is a sense of not having to worry, like you said, like having enough sort of abundance in my life in terms of resources, so that I can live in a house that is closer to nature, is made out of somewhat natural, like sustainable, non-toxic materials. I know that sounds weird, but it's true.
Hmm.
If I'm really honest with myself, I'm like paranoid about like vinyl and like carcinogens and all, like vinyl flooring and all that crap, even though it's
Yeah.
probably a little bit unhealthy to worry about that stuff. And then being able to be creative in whatever way, shape, or form that is, and have that be able to allow me to do the things I want to do. And like I do want to travel, and I realize I'm like I really want to travel to Iceland, and I really want to travel to Korea, and like take
Yeah.
the whole family, which ain't cheap. And it's like that I would like to do that. Like that's definitely something I'd like to do. And I do, as far as career goes, for me it's like I just want to talk to a lot of people,
Yeah. Okay.
and also not a lot at the same time.
Okay.
I
So.
don't know. I don't know what that means. Like I also like I have to I'm getting better at sort of taking care of my energy and figuring out where it needs to go,
Mhm.
where I haven't been before. So that's been helpful.
Okay.
Um,
Well, good.
yeah, but it was like just giving. I think for anyone listening, just giving yourself the time. It doesn't maybe have to be like cut out pictures of like you know with like what is it, like when people are like a ransom note with all the different letter cutouts from a
Yeah.
magazine, like I want a yacht, like every letter is a different font. No,
Yeah.
like I don't think that you have to feel pressure that like you should be doing a vision board just because like everybody is. Like I don't think you have to. I think you can kind of sit with yourself, pull a card, like for me it's like I love pulling those oracle cards.
Yeah.
And just kind of getting yourself into the vibrational state of, if I'm honest with myself, what do I really want to bring into my life? Like if I could wish for it without worrying about whether or not I deserve it, whether or not I have what it takes to get that. I
Yeah.
I think moving away from that, because that's where the resistance comes in, and then it kind of locks it in place and doesn't allow that flow.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel you.
The flow. Hey,
Flow.
side note, came up with
Yeah.
a cool joke when I was on the elliptical before. Oh, and I
Okay.
just looked at my phone and it's 4:44.
What is that? Is that a sign?
I think so, maybe.
Or,
I don't know.
mm,
Hmm.
I love 420.
Ooh,
Just
same.
kidding.
It's just a
But
perfect sounding number.
yeah, right. But
Just makes me
no,
feel relaxed.
right? But no.
Do you
What?
want to
Sorry.
hear
What?
my joke?
Yes, I do.
I'm like, do you?
Do you wanna?
Okay.
Yes.
So, okay. So if I was a stand-up comedian, which I'm not, because I don't have the balls or the boobs.
Oh.
I don't have the balls or the boobs to make it in show business. So that's what I'm claiming. Um, so like here's my thing. Like, I don't understand why like Ruth Bader Ginsburg was like hanging out with and like such good bros, like with Antonin Scalia, who had like a completely different like philosophy from her. Like, I don't understand how they hung out and got along. I mean, no judgment, but that's my joke.
Oh no.
Thank you for laughing. Polite laughter.
No.
No judgment, but judgment.
Yeah, when it hit me, I was like, oh.
Everybody, this is what happens when I have a 420 moment, and then I exercise. And for me, it's my husband calls it jazzercising, but it's not. Like to call it elliptica dancing, elliptical dancing, where
Yeah.
I was listening to Good Beat because as you recommended,
Oh, delight.
yeah, it's a better
Yes,
song than Griff is in the Heart.
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go on.
Depending on how you see things.
I fucking
It
love
is
that.
literally in my head all week. And if I'm driving and I
Yeah.
put it on the radio, they're like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Well,
I'm
see, you put
1000% serious.
"Groove in the Heart" in my head like a week ago after you mentioned it,
We,
just
we cross
randomly.
pollinated, cross germinated.
Exactly. But yes, I fucking love Delight. It breaks my heart that they'll never perform together again.
I mean, really though? Like never say
Yeah,
never, maybe?
that's yeah. No, they said never. So like gotta follow that. But I love the
Hmm.
the lead singer, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name right. Kier, the lady Miss Kier Kirby.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I still follow her on whatever social media she's on. But yeah,
Oh, she is? Oh, great. Now I have to look
yeah,
her
she's
up.
a DJ.
Oh,
Yeah,
she is?
she's a
That's right, she
DJ.
is. Okay.
And yes,
Everybody
so
pause while I look it up.
right, no
That
dead
you
air.
can't see it.
You can't see it.
Um,
So
isn't this an exciting podcast?
um, it doesn't matter.
You're right, it doesn't. I'm putting it out there anyway.
Right? Yeah, no, she is awesome. She's done like I don't know. I used to see a lot of her mixes on Facebook, but then I deleted my Facebook, so I don't know if she's on Instagram. But yeah, I mean,
She
she did a lot of
is,
international. She is okay.
I can tell you.
All right.
Doesn't seem to be updated. Last update was 2014. So,
Oh no.
yeah, that's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't on Instagram for a while, so maybe she's on Twitter,
Maybe,
but
yeah.
she definitely has
She's
videos.
on Tumblr though, as
Oh,
the
okay. That's where I.
as the
That's right.
90s star that she is.
I was
Tumblr.
on Tumblr. That's where I was following her. I forgot about that. So, putting out there what you want. Like I would love to meet her,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And once COVID is over, once if she ever has a show, I would go.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I'd go too.
yeah, we
I'll
would
go with
go.
you.
What was that thing that we went to so many years
Oh,
ago in
it
Brooklyn?
was
An embarrassing,
Mortified.
mortified. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
Mortified's awesome. They have a podcast and they're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I look
Look
that
at
up.
that.
Look at
Maybe I'll
that.
see if yeah, maybe I'll see if I can get someone on having to do
Ooh,
with that show.
that would
That
be
would be
awesome.
amazing.
Hmm.
Anyway, for anyone who doesn't know what
Oh yeah,
Mortified is
exactly.
started out off as I'm like, oh yeah, someone else is here, sort of. Um, Mortified is a stage show that was touring around. They have them all in cities across the US and I believe internationally as well, where people would get on stage and read journal entries or diary entries from the like super awkward ages of like between like 11 and like 15. So in those wonderful pubescent years. And it's hysterical. It's like, yeah, it was
It
pretty
is.
amazing, the
Um,
stuff that
it
we
w-
wrote.
it was just so late. Well, it wasn't so late, but we were old, so
Yeah,
we got
that's
tired.
right. We were like, we had one drink. We're like, we came out to Brooklyn. that's like, I mean, when we're both in Jersey and we had worked that day, so it's
Yeah,
like that's a lot to
that was
ask. Yeah.
right.
But we
Yeah,
but we did it. I'm
yeah,
glad we did.
yeah. Me too.
Shared experience.
Exactly.
Not that we get to
D-
do that anymore
Well, we
unless it's
will
virtual.
soon.
I know. I hope so.
Soon. Did you have a diary as a kid?
Yes, I had several. Um
Ooh.
yeah. And they're super embarrassing. And you know what I used to do? I used to go
Mm,
back and I used to make like obnoxious notes
mm.
alongside things that I had written, like "duh" or like "what an idiot" and like "God, you're so desperate." And then, like as years would go by, I'd change I'd like add to the notes and be like, "Stop beating myself up."
Right? I love it. See, that would have been perfect for the show.
I know. I trust me. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah. I
Uh,
did not have a
wait,
diary.
wait. Let me
Yeah.
let me think that through. Am I happy to do that? Not sure.
Not sure.
Not sure.
That's all right.
But yeah, I mean, and I think when I traveled, like when I would travel, I would keep a journal. Like I would go do trips by myself a lot when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
I would just kind of be like, I'm going to Montreal. I'm gonna stay in a hostel and I'm gonna sleep on a bunk bed. And
Oh.
some German lady is gonna yell at me for snoring
Oh no.
and I'm gonna go ice skating with a rando, and it's gonna be fun. And it was. I always had fun when I
That
did
sounds
these trips.
awesome.
It was.
I mean, I don't know if I could stay in a hostel,
They are
but
hostile. No
I
shit, man.
don't have a
Are
lot
there
of travel.
places, speaking of like what we want our lives to look like,
Yeah.
where would you want to travel if you could travel anywhere?
Well, I want to go back to Puerto Rico.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm hoping, after all this is done, I hope, hoping that business there is rebuilding. I've never been to Paris,
Mm.
never been to Greece. So yeah, everywhere that, as long as it's not a 24-hour flight. Like I know Australia is crazy far.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if I can do that unless it's super first class, whatever that
I
is.
know, right? Well,
But
that can be part of it, right? Like,
yeah,
I want to be able
exactly.
to
That is.
travel like I want to be knocked the fuck out and
Yes.
wake up in Australia.
Exactly. Yes.
Like, and lie down completely, like completely horizontally with enough
Exactly.
space to like turn around. Yeah.
I previously worked for Sony
Mm.
Music in HR, and that is a job. Like my goal when I went into HR was to, um, I don't know, just do HR, but in a company that had something to do with my side loves of music or acting or something like that. So when the position at Sony so many years ago became available, that's something I was like, I applied to, I wished for it, and I felt like I was going to get it, interviewed, and I got it, and it was cool. It was a short experience, but it was cool.
Yeah.
That's not very entertaining.
No, it is. I mean, it doesn't
Like
have to be
work.
entertaining. I mean, I
Yeah.
think like we always forget that there's sometimes these things that we wish into our lives and then they do come into our lives, but we tend to discount them or not remember them or
Yeah.
like celebrate them because we've kind of moved on to like wanting something different or wanting something else. But I think it's
Hmm.
important to kind of recognize those places where you actually you were in the zone, something came along and you were able to kind of take advantage of that opportunity somehow, and it was in full alignment with something that you really really wanted.
Yeah.
And then kind of like, and then you can see how like, oh, this is what I wanted. And
Yeah.
then you get it and you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I didn't really want it so much. I've had that experience a lot, for sure.
Yeah. No, definitely.
But I think on some level, I always knew. I was like, I know I really, really want this,
Hmm.
but when it happens, I also know that I'm not going to give a shit. It's not going to, like, I know that there's a lesson hidden under it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one thing that I really want now, and that I'm putting out there, and I'm putting on my invisible vision board is my my adventure into the land of voiceover.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
that's something that even the little that I've done so far for my brother's company. Super excited to get those funny, to get those official clips,
Yeah.
hopefully soon. But yeah, that's something that I am hoping for, and you gotta know it's yours and that you're going to get it. Or
Abundance comes in all forms. I don't know about you. I mean, I feel like this week was, again, like it's just been such a slog. Like I feel
yeah,
like it's just been such a there's been so many draining things, and there's been so much just like pushing through, that I was like, well, it would be great. And not in a way where there's so there's something that people are referring to as spiritual fuck. Let me pause there because I'll have to edit this out because I can't remember.
okay,
What is it called? Fuck. Okay. Something called spiritual bypassing. So spiritual bypassing means you're like love and light and love and light. I can't say anything dark. No, 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 no. And you're like avoiding any real deep healing with anything because you're just like, I'm just trying to be positive
ah,
without accepting or integrating any of the more quote negative stuff. So
got you.
so spiritual bypassing is just kind of like, I'm not going to let this bother me. Whereas if something bothers you, the way to really dig into it and not spiritually bypass is to be like, this bothers me. Why does this bother me?
Mhm.
And also, while also reassuring yourself that it is okay that this bothers me.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I feel like we do, because we have such a disjointed way of connecting with ourselves and our sort of inner dialogue. And when we
mhm,
hear about other people sort of like, vision board and, prayer and meditation and like all of these things, we feel pressure that we've got to do it that way. When in reality, we have to do it in our own ways, and we have to do it in ways where we understand that we are looking at our own wounding. We have different wounding than everybody else out there. So
yeah,
there isn't just like one way that it's going to work.
true.
I don't feel like I even took off the ground in on that flight.
I
I
mean,
don't know where that went.
and
Yeah,
you know what? That's okay.
that is
Hope,
okay. Yeah.
but you know,
Yeah, one of these days we will do some kind of live thing so that we can actually get people to ask us questions where we're like,
yeah, right.
what do we want to talk
What do?
about? I don't even really know. Like I literally like I felt inspired enough to kind of do a little bit of work. So
Uh-huh.
for me it's going to be writing stuff. And I was able to kind of get that done this week and get it out there, but I also just felt like a little bit of a heaviness around um yeah, just kind of
Yeah.
like this heaviness around, and just really did not feel any sense of inspiration. And
Mhm.
then it was just the other day, like yesterday, when I was just kind of like, all right, let me pull a card and let me really ask a question. And as I was kind of writing the question, I realized that I was doing in effect what you would do with a like a vision board, which
Yeah.
is, am I going to get these things that I want? Like am I going to be successful enough to kind of get all those things? And I think as I was asking them, I was really like adjusting everything within me to be like, no, yeah, no, yeah. Like I am gonna get those things. I don't think I need anyone to tell me. And then of course the card that came up was very much like in line with every part of the question that I had asked or written down.
Yeah. And what card was that?
It was the Focus on the Light card. And it
Mhm.
just kind of, and this is from the Sacred Rebels deck by Alana Fairchild. Or Alana, whatever. And sorry, I know you're sensitive about pronouncing
I know.
names correctly, but I'm like,
I
I don't
know.
have that hang up. So, and then this is also coming from like someone who had a horrific last name growing up. So that's not,
Oh,
yeah, I
yeah,
don't
that's
really
right.
care. I
You
mean,
told
people
me.
butchered my name. Like, I grew up with a butchered name because my original last name sounds a little and is spelled a little like Bobbitt. And that was around the time of Lorena
Mm.
Bobbitt.
Mm. Oh no.
So that was always fun.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, can I take that name instead? That short Chinese name? That would be perfect. And people still pronounce it wrong.
How do they pronounce it? I mean, well, I
Why?
mean, why?
Yeah.
Why?
I am not a question. Thank you.
Jennifer, Jennifer, why?
Jennifer, why? Why what?
Why?
Fuck you. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Well, I mean,
It's funny
yeah,
because when you're
people,
saying why, you feel fancy because you think you're doing it correctly. Like this
right?
this must be the right way to say it. And I know because that's kind of how I felt when I first started.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna beat him at this. I'm
uh,
gonna let him know I know how to pronounce his name, his ethnic name,
uh,
and I'm gonna because I'm so good at ethnic names. And
oh,
yeah, I fucked it up.
yeah. Well, my name didn't really get butchered. It's just people um couldn't remember it. Like that that sounds demeaning to
That
say,
had to feel really good.
right? Not
Yeah.
not even not remember. It's just that I would be called Jeremy,
What?
Joseph
Oh God.
instead of Jermaine. So
Seriously?
that's why, yeah. I mean, and it wasn't like it wasn't even a cultural thing because I mean, at one job I had it was a black woman who did it, and she said it that my name just reminded her of her. Well, my name reminded her of her ex,
Yeah.
and I forgot what his name was. Thankfully, because I don't want to offend
Jeremiah.
her
No,
if
I'm just kidding.
she's listening. No, I got that too,
Oh boy.
and
Wow.
yeah, and so that's why I started
Cool.
going by Dupree.
It's like people just took your first name as a suggestion,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
not even as a declared name.
Yeah, I think it's because it begins with a G, which is
Yeah.
different. I
Oh
guess if it
yeah.
was a J, it would be easier to connect it to my
Geronimo.
face.
Has anyone
I
called you
wouldn't mind that.
Geronimo? I
No,
know. I was like, yeah,
mind
Geronimo.
that. But yeah, names.
Yeah.
All right,
All right.
all right. Well,
Well, I love
I guess
you.
I love you too.
And I love you. Thank you so much for joining me today and Dupree. Um, yeah, thank you so much. I hope you're having a great week. Um, music by Jennifer Way via GarageBand. Um, yeah, do I have to say that? I don't even know. What are the podcast rules? Anyway, it's been a pleasure. Um, Always super psyched to be able to talk. It's my favorite thing to do in the whole world, if you haven't figured that out by now. Um, but yeah, thanks for staying here till the end, and